is it okay if you tell us a little bit about, for those of you that haven't met you before, if you can share a little bit about your story?
About 10 years ago, I had 3 kids and 1 on the way, and went to my first demo, and I saw the Thermomix. I was 3 weeks till I was due to have the baby, and I just went, oh my goodness, that would save me so much time. I was already grinding my own grain, making my own bread by hand, doing all the bits and pieces that you do when you're trying to eat healthy. And it was taking me forever, basically. And I fell in love with the Thermomix at this demo and decided I had to have one. Totally pigged out at the demo. Went home, popped, had the baby. Not joking. 3 weeks out. And then for the next week, ate torta caprese, which the demo consultant was so lovely to give me.
Oh, awesome.
But it took me probably another year to get a Thermomix, and during that time my health got worse. So I had always had problems with dairy, but I was sort of, up and down about actually going off it because I love my cheese and I love my butter. And because I was tired with the new baby and everything, I was just eating a lot of bread, basically, because it was easy. I would make my own bread, so I felt like I was still having healthy food, but I didn't really realise until I went to a naturopath and started looking into what I was actually eating that pretty much 5 times a day I was eating bread because it was easy. Toast for breakfast, sandwiches for lunch, bread for snacks. It was just so much grains, my body was not handling it, all that wheat. I was eating the butter on the bread and the cheese, and now and then a bit of milk. If I was starving in the middle of the night, I'd just grab a Milo, that kind of thing, and my body didn't like it at all. I became very tired, very headachy. Every month I would get a cold that would turn into a chest infection. I had low blood sugar problems, low weight problems, couldn't gain weight. I actually went down to 42 kilos. I just couldn't get the nutrition I needed, even though we were still having all the veggies and the meat and all that kind of stuff, but it was like I wasn't absorbing it or something. So I finally went to a naturopath. He helped me work through what issues were, affecting my diet and what I needed to change to. So basically, to make it simple, I pretty much went off wheat and dairy and most sugars, back to more basic foods. I thought I was eating basic foods because that's how I was raised, cooking from scratch, but there was things that had snuck in, that you sort of start to buy because it's easy. So I started going back more to basics, looking more at what was in the foods, checking the packet labels, and I started to realise, about that time I got a Thermomix, and I started to realise, wow, this Thermomix will really help me to cut down on all these additives. I didn't have any help with the Thermomix at that time. When I first saw it, the person was travelling around Australia, so we didn't have any consultants where I lived. There was no websites, emails, Facebook, anything like that. Newsletters. We got a newsletter in the mail now and then.
Oh my gosh, snail mail.
I know. I still have them. And then we had just 2 little booklets that came with the I had the older model of Thermomix back then. So that was 9 years ago. I got my Thermomix. So I started trying to, because I'm a very experimental cook anyway, I figured it out, and I began using it quite a lot, but and making my own dairy-free milks with nuts or rice or a bit of both, my own white sauces that were dairy-free and custards and things like that. I started to make spelt breads. Later on, I went off the gluten onto gluten-free, and found that I was feeling a lot better that way. And then, as it progressed, I just figured out what suited my body the best, and tried to work as much as possible from basic ingredients so that I knew what was going into my food, and that really helped me. So, used my Thermomix a lot for that. I finally found a consultant that a few came into the area, so about 4 or 5 years after I got my Thermomix, I started having a couple of demos, and my friends started buying the Thermomixes. And I was like, oh, I could be selling these. And then I wanted the new model, and so my husband said no because your old one still works. And my friends said just drop it, but I thought no, I better not do that. So, so I ended up becoming a consultant so that I could buy a Thermomix that way.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought I would just do this for a bit because I've got little kids. You know, the youngest was 3 or 4 by then. But I ended up loving it and stayed with it. So I've been a consultant for nearly 5 years now, I think. I actually started my blog before I became a consultant. I was finding that a lot of people I talked to were saying, I'm supposed to be eating like you eat, but I can't. It's too hard. I can't do it. I've tried it for 2 weeks. The food all tasted yuck. It was very difficult. It was very expensive. And I'm like, no, you don't have to buy really expensive stuff. You can cook from scratch and make it yourself. And it's not hard once you know what to substitute. And people were just like, well, give me some recipes. And then I was constantly writing out recipes. So I thought, this is silly. I'm just going to put it on a blog and say, just go and look at it there. Had no idea about blogging. A friend of mine had a blog, and so I asked her what to do. And so she told me basically, and I sat down. It was New Year's Eve, and 2008, I sat down and wrote a blog and decided that I would try and do that. And so I've really enjoyed that, and it's just sort of slowly built up. And then that really tied in well with becoming a consultant, because then I could also give my customers, you know, the links to my blog recipe.
The community that you've established through your Quirky Cooking blog has been phenomenal. It's just such a supportive environment.
It is. And when I'm trying to think when I started the Facebook page, it would maybe be 3 years ago, and it took off slowly, but in the last probably a bit over a year, maybe a year and a half, it went from 3,000 to 39,000.
Holy dooly.
Don't ask me. So I just, I'm sort of just hanging on for the ride. I'm trying to answer questions madly in the middle of the night. I just really love that it is very supportive, and I think that I'm hoping that nobody thinks I'm a super mum that has it all together, because I don't. I'm just like every other mum, mostly, a little other maybe, but I just have such a passion for healthy eating and for supporting people who want to go that direction. And for people who have allergies and intolerances, it's hard, and people get really overwhelmed, and you get some really gut-wrenching emails from people that just desperately need just some encouragement. And so I want my Facebook page and my blog to be somewhere where those kind of people can feel like they've got a bit of support. And if I'm in a hurry and I don't have time, I might put the question out there for everybody to answer. And you just get so many answers, so much support, so much encouragement and help. It's just wonderful. So it's great for me as well, not just everybody else. I get just as much encouragement from it as anyone else, from everybody else's answers. So
it's like, you know, you don't have to wait for someone to believe in what you're saying. You just need to believe it. Trust that you know.
Follow your gut instinct. And if something makes you feel bad, you don't have to say, well, but I don't have an allergy to it, so I should still be eating it. If it makes you feel bad, don't eat it. Hello.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I don't have celiac disease. I don't have a dairy allergy, but I just know I feel heaps better when I stay off grains as much as I can, at least gluten grains.
Yep.
And I stay off dairy as much as I can, and sugar. And it just makes me feel heaps better. And if you look at me now compared to 8 or 9 years ago, I've put on weight. I know it might not look like it, but I have. I'm a lot healthier. I have more energy. I'm happier. And I think a lot of that is, okay, some of it's because my kids are older and it's easier. Once I know when they're babies, it's really hard for mums because they're tired and they're up in the night and stuff. But it's also mostly diet, I think. And that was also a problem with why I had so much trouble with my last baby, actually, is there was things in my breast milk that were bothering her. So I had trouble with breastfeeding, and so she cried a lot, and it was all to do with my diet. So there's so many things related to food in every area of life that if you can figure out what suits your body, you'll be so much better off. And definitely ask for help if you need it. And don't think that being headachy every day and tired every day and getting that low blood sugar slump in the middle of the morning is natural, because it's not. And you can have a energetic day without all that if you're eating properly, a way that suits your body.
Definitely.
So with the blog, I did get into the top 25 food and wellbeing bloggers for Kids Spot this year, and that was a bit of a surprise. Someone nominated me, and it kind of has helped with a few other things, because now I have a publisher.
I know!
And I've been working on a book for a couple of years and getting knocked back from publishers, and it got kind of discouraging, and I thought, oh, maybe this just isn't even meant to be, and I'm just going to let it all go and just forget it.
Yeah.
And then, like, 2 days later, I got a phone call, and I was like, what?
That's incredible, isn't it?
Working hard, just trying to get all my recipes tested and together, because some of them are still in my head, and trying to get all that organised and off to testers and stuff. But, yeah, it's definitely happening now, so it's all a bit exciting.
That is fantastic. The way to keep up to date with cookbook announcements and all of that is through your Facebook page and blog. And do you want to give everybody...
The blog is www.quirkycooking.blogspot.com.
Awesome.
And there will be a revamp soon, so that it'll be all ready for the book.
It's so exciting.